Scope.
And once again, we're going to be talking about some rough weather still developing throughout parts of the Ohio River Valley. That's going to be one story. Also about the snow throughout the Midwest. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here on the Weather Channel. I am Will Annan. We're following two storm systems right now. One is bringing snow to the Midwest, and the other one is beginning to threaten the already flooded Ohio River Valley. For the very latest, let's join Rich Johnson in our forecast center with the full details.
All right, thank you, Will. We are following two different storms. One of those is making its way across the south. Some areas are getting soaked this afternoon, right in through this evening. Farther to the north, some of that rain is heading toward the Ohio Valley. And I will talk to you a little bit more about that. There may be a little bit of a blessing in disguise. I'll show you what that means. First of all, let's look at scenes from Smithland, Kentucky. The prospect for any more rain could be tragic. We're seeing rain today. Yeah, it's just starting to dry out. However, places like Smithland, near Paducah, are still dealing with rising water. Smithland is just upstream from Paducah and just north of where the Tennessee comes into the Ohio. Yeah, more rain is going to cause problems because if the river, it may cause the river levels to at least level off, if not rise again. Here's some of the rainfall amounts. Houston, 3.66. That was a 24-hour total. Actually, there was more than 4 inches of rain. Galveston about 2, so generally 2 to 4 around the Houston area. Satellite photograph showing a storm center moving northward out of Arkansas and heading right up through the Ohio Valley. And one thing I wanted to point out, look down to the Gulf Coast. You notice this huge cluster here. The reason I say blessing in disguise, because sometimes what happens if you get a large cluster like this, it robs the thunderstorms farther to the north of their moisture supply. So if that happens, it may actually cut down on some of the rain totals that we end up seeing in the Ohio Valley. That's something that we'll be following closely over the next several hours. We have rain in the Ohio Valley right now, though, especially the lower end of the Ohio. Near Paducah, Owensboro, it's raining, Evansville. Farther to the north, all the way up to around Louisville and up to Cincinnati, something of a break, then the rain picks up farther to the north. Around St. Louis, a rainy day today. If you're heading out toward Kansas City westbound, certainly drying out. But down toward the river, it is a wet day today, so we could see significant amounts of rain. Thunderstorms farther to the south. This is the point I was making earlier down toward the Gulf Coast. Around Mobile, about 3 inches of rain recently. And if these thunderstorms develop enough, they may actually rob some of the inflow or that moisture flowing to the north. Notice where the heaviest rains are now. Southwestern Alabama down toward Mobile, Alabama. We're talking about 2 to 4 inches of rain in this cluster here. And notice which way all of this rain is heading, off to the north-northeast. So this one huge cluster right here may actually sweep a little bit farther to the east. That would be great to see that. So at least some of the rain may miss the Ohio Valley. Again, something for us to watch. We'll take you to Wisconsin, show you some scenes of snow. It's a cold day at Port Washington where the snow is coming down north of Milwaukee. Snow began falling during the early morning hours. Then it tapered off. However, no end is in sight to the snow. There will be periods of snow through this evening. Highs will be about 30 today. Then it's definitely going to be dropping off as we see some much colder air coming on in. Here's our Arctic front. That's the front to the north, and temperatures in the teens and single digits. Remember earlier this winter, I know it's tough to forget how brutally cold it was in the snow. Well, then it got mild for a while. Well, now as we're ready to move out of winter, it's starting to get cold again, and the snow's coming down. Temperatures right now at the Twin Cities, 24 degrees, 16 in Fargo, 41 in Chicago. Maybe the tail end of the precip around Chicagoland could be in the form of snow, but overall, this is mostly rain. Wind chill, how cold it actually feels to exposed areas of your skin if you're outdoors, like your hands if you're not wearing gloves. 23 in Chicago, -2 at the Twin Cities, so the wind chill is dropping down, getting into the dangerous category through the Dakotas with plenty of snow still on the ground from Fargo and the reaches of the northern half of Minnesota. Here's our satellite photograph and our storm from Arkansas winding up and heading off to the north-northeast. That is bringing some snow with it. Right now all rain, but once it clashes with this colder air, it will be in the form of snow. This is mostly snow until we reach Iowa. You can see Waterloo on the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. That's rain, but then mixes over quickly to snow, and it is snowing heavily around Rochester, right back over to Wisconsin near Mosinee. It's moderate snow, so some big snow still to come on down. Well, that wraps up the situation about the rain in the south. Of course, we'll keep you updated on our storm heading toward the Ohio Valley. Let's head back into the studio with Will. He's going to give us our weekend forecast for us.
Thanks a lot, Rich. Once again, we'll talk about some more wintry type weather scattered about the Pacific Northwest. Nothing all that terrific as of right now. Of course, the big storm is now developing throughout the nation's midsection, north and south. There's snow to the north, there's rain to the south, maybe some thundery weather as well. But if you live in the Pacific Northwest, you've been looking at some scattered clouds and also a pretty good chance of a couple of more snowflakes during the next few days. And once again, you can see these scenes right now from Washington State. And once again, you've seen the wintry mix stirred up over the last couple of days there. It looks like more to come as the weekend progresses, with another strong storm likely to arrive in the Pacific Northwest in just a couple of days. Let's show you what's going on right now. And once again, we can show you as we look at the Pacific Northwest. We're going to be looking at a break in the action for the most part right now. That's some pretty good news if you live in Washington, Oregon, even Northern California. Break number 1 is now underway. Some high clouds already from our next storm beginning to reappear off the coastline, and we'll be looking at those coming in a little bit later on. Again, you can see a couple of more rain and snow showers scattered from western Montana all the way back into the Cascades of Oregon State. Light rain and snow showers. No big deal as of right now. Taking a look at the weather map, you can see we can see the break in the action right now if we can progress, and there we go. Definitely is turning much, much cooler and much colder throughout the central and northern Rockies and plains right now. And a lot of this Arctic air beginning to filter on southward is going to make it all the way down to the deep south by the time the weekend comes to a close. Sunday night, Monday morning could be a real problem. Maybe even by early Sunday morning could be a problem if you live all the way down towards the Tennessee Valley, the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama. And we'll have more on that with our extended forecast coming up in just a moment. Denver right now 32 degrees. The Great Salt Lake is at 45. And again, you can see temperatures beginning to warm up mainly in Southern California, where once again you're looking at a Santa Ana flow beginning to develop there. That means an offshore flow, downsloping conditions, and temperatures are dry and also on the rise. We'll check on what's going to be happening with your good afternoon forecast. And you can see once again, beginning with later on this afternoon, we're going to be looking at that area low pressure beginning to fan its way on towards the northeast. Early morning tomorrow, check on the winds developing around Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Missouri. Strong surge northerly winds right now. That's going to pump down all that cold air southward. And you can see by later in the afternoon, maybe ahead of this front, we'll have to beef up the chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms. They could become rather strong late tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, the mess continues across just about all of New England, with once again a pretty good chance of some turbulent weather developing there. And again, we're going to be looking at some snow, some wind, some freezing rain, the whole ball of wax. Chances of rainfall increase dramatically later on this afternoon and tonight over much of the deep south. Heaviest of the rainfall right now is along the Gulf Coast itself. If you live around Green Bay, Wisconsin, Titletown, can be looking at some pretty good snows lasting right through early morning tomorrow. Then the wind and the chill arrives. Early morning lows look like this, much colder throughout the north. Highs on Saturday and Sunday afternoon. Again, we're talking about, well, again, temperatures beginning to cool off all the way down towards the Tennessee Valley. And you can see by Sunday, sunshine, but rather cool.
Hit $250 billion in sales like McDonald's, you're in the Business Hall of Fame. Hit $1 trillion in real estate transactions like the Century 21 system, you're in a class by yourself. You're the #1 real estate system. And when you're this big, you can do things others can't, like average a home bought or sold by our customers every minute, every day. No wonder in a nationwide survey, homeowners said they'd most likely use Century 21 by 4 to 1 over the nearest competitor. So call #1, Century 21.
Call 1-800-4HOUSES for a Century 21 office near you.
This is your local forecast, weather information you can plan on, because we show it on the 8s of every hour. Local on the 8s on the Weather Channel.
Wooga wah!
Oh no! How will we get back to the 20th century?
We'd better call the Auto Club.
What's wrong, Brain? Cooperate. Brain, you protect Uncle Gadget and Great-Grandfather Gadget. Baby Mammoth, you help fix the time machine. Cave Penny, you go and pick some fruit. Now remember, they're all very important jobs.
Observatory called SOHO can continuously orbit the sun without suffering damage from the heat. These time-lapse photographs show comets approaching the sun. Here it shows how the sun reacts to different surface temperatures. As the sun begins to produce more sunspots and becomes stormier, SOHO can help scientists understand solar weather and how it affects us here on Earth.
Wow, now we have 1,000 years. There it is, streaking across the sky. But now it's going to be visible to the naked eye just after sunset, which is at 6:05 tonight. And the comet is actually a huge ball of ice 25 miles wide, and it appears in the sky as a fuzzy swish of blue. Hale-Bopp will come closest to the Earth on April 1st, but even then, it'll be more than 100 million miles away.
Wow, cool. But the big question is, will we be able to see it?
Let's find out.
Okay, John Blair sits outside. John, no?
Nah, no, we're not going to see old Hale-Bopp tonight. Got clouds thickening up as I look up right now. Yeah, got some cirrus clouds about 25,000 feet. Forerunners of a storm system that's heading this way from the Gulf states, and that's going to cloud the picture. Not only cloud the picture, guys, but it's going to spell some snow sleet for a while overnight, and it may create some morning headaches. Let's check it out for you right now. One of our WeatherNet schools, Russell Night School in Cherry Hill, hello there, came in with a high today of 44 degrees. Low 27, setting at 41 degrees right now. Pressure falling, humidity 30%, pressure falling indicating a storm is heading our way. All right, the high today officially at the airport was 44 degrees. The low is 28. What's normal for today, you say? The normal high is 51. The normal low is 32. So yes, we're running cool today. Tough call coming up overnight as the storm system begins to head this way and temperatures flirt with the freezing mark overnight. That means we're going to get a mixed bag. Temperatures now not so bad in the upper 30s, lower 40s, cold spot Poconos. Poconos, definitely you'll pick up some accumulating snow overnight. But even up that way, you'll be changing to rain during the day tomorrow. Earthwatch exclusive flyby time. Take you back from the greater Philadelphia region. The cold Arctic high in control now, but you know what? That is going to be moving away. And you see a storm system over the Gulf states. That baby is going to be swinging up towards the Great Lakes. And if you're indeed a snow lover, you know you can't get a major snowstorm with the storm sliding up across the Great Lakes, unless, of course, a secondary storm develops along the Middle Atlantic coast. And we do not see that right now. We see that storm moving up towards the Great Lakes late tonight, tomorrow morning. Snow, sleet, freezing rain breaking out sometime, let's say, between 1 and 3 a.m. overnight. And by tomorrow morning, that mixture will be changing over to just plain rain, probably by 6 or 7 a.m. in the city itself. About the same southern Jersey, same central southern Delaware, and probably a little bit later on in the morning as you move north and west into Lehigh Valley and the Poconos. I will break down the snow amounts for you during my next broadcast, which is about 5:50 this evening. Tonight, snow, sleet, freezing rain developing overnight, 28 to 33. Mixed precip goes to all rain. The rain will come down heavy at times in buckets, windswept, temperatures rising through the 40s throughout the day into the 50s by tomorrow night. I'll be back in just a few minutes, and I'll break down the possible amounts for you guys. Tracy and Art?
All right, and just in case
it's getting critical now. This is going to be a very close call, huh?
Yeah, Mark, it's a little messy mix put into the forecast here, and we have a good possibility of picking up some rain, sleet, or snow. If we do have that snow, wet snow and sleet combination, it should change over rather quickly. Let's check the numbers, then we'll get into the forecast. Thursday, the 13th day of the month of March. Here are the 5 o'clock numbers. We're holding at 42 degrees. The humidity extremely dry, 30%. The barometer 30.42. It is falling, and the breeze is very calm out here tonight. Out of the northeast at 4 miles an hour. Yesterday's high was 47 degrees. Today's high, 44 degrees. The normal high this time of year is now up to 51 degrees. So yesterday below normal, today way below normal with a high of only 44 degrees. And our low this morning was a cold 28 degrees. That's the month of March. Take a look at action radar now, and you'll see the system that we've been tracking for several days now. Came out of Texas and Oklahoma, is now moving more toward the Gulf states and then kind of easing up in our direction. That's the precip that's headed in our direction. Of course, cold air is in place, and therein evolves the story. For tonight, the call from AccuWeather is we're going to have increasing clouds, what we have growing right now, but we're looking for a late wintry mix. Anywhere between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning, we should start to see some wet snow, a little sleet, and a little rain, all mixed in together. You folks up in the northern portion of our viewing area, from the city on north, the traditional Bucks, Montgomery, and Chester County areas could pick up a coating of possibly an inch out of this in those far northern areas. The overnight lows, there they are, 28 to 32 degrees, so the cold air just remains in place. For tomorrow, for Friday, we're looking for a rainy and windy day by about 9 o'clock in the morning. If you do pick up any bit of that mix, it should all turn over to rain by that time. But rush hour in the morning could be a little tricky for folks, especially to the north of our viewing area. All right. The high tomorrow is going to be 50 degrees. The winds will be southeasterly 15 to 20 miles per hour. So a rainy, windy day. And once we get by this little iffy early morning hours, then the rain takes over. Saturday, windy, clearing, a high of 50 degrees. On Sunday, 46 degrees. Mostly sunny skies, but colder weather coming in. We'll continue to track it for you on Action Radar and Satellite 6. We'll have all the latest, 5:30, of course, 6 o'clock. Stay with us. Lisa?
This is WeatherScope.
Thanks a lot for joining us for WeatherScope on this Thursday afternoon. I'm Rick Griffin. We're following two storm systems at this time. One is bringing snow, heavy at times, to the Midwest and the Great Lakes region. The other is threatening to bring more rain to the already flooded Ohio Valley region. So for the very latest on this developing situation, let's go to Rich Johnson over in the Forecast Center.
All right, thank you very much, Rick. We are looking at showers and thunderstorms, and before we show you some of the scenes, let me show you what's going on right now in Alabama and Georgia. This is the latest radar, and we have some storms. So far, no report from the Storm Prediction Center about any watches, but we're watching this area closely. You're looking at southern and central Alabama, western Georgia, so if you live in Birmingham or especially Atlanta to Montgomery, back to Pensacola where that line's moving through, we'll keep an eye on the conditions there. So possibility of a severe weather watch being issued shortly due to those storms forming. Well, speaking about storms and rain, we'll take you northward to the Ohio River, and there's been more rain. This is Mifflin, Kentucky, and yeah, when these pictures were shot, you can see the sunshine there. Many times with the rivers, especially like the one the size of the Ohio, it takes a long time for the water to crest. So what we're looking at is still the water's rising here, and unfortunately with more rain in the area, it may keep that crest up longer than first expected, or it may keep it up for a while so it will level off instead of drop as soon. Well, first of all, starting in the south, we'll talk to you about the temperatures in the 70s and 60s, 80s so in Houston after yesterday's deluge. It is a milder day and the rain has moved out. Here's our satellite picture, and there is a blessing in disguise, we believe, here with to the north, the Ohio Valley. You still could be looking at some heavy rain. There has been heavy rain, but with the magnitude of the thunderstorms in the north central Gulf of Mexico, that may take some of the inflow or the low-level flow that feeds thunderstorms. It may direct that towards the storms along the Gulf Coast and may be blocking some of the heavier rain to the north. So that's something that we'll be watching closely this evening. Any way you cut it, still some heavy rain. You can see that now up through the Ohio Valley. Heaviest of the rain toward the river area of Indiana, bordering Kentucky, so Owensboro, especially up toward Louisville, which of course you were hit very heavily by this recent flood. Yeah, more rain coming in, and it is moving into Cincinnati shortly. Possibility of severe storms. This is through midnight. Especially vulnerable will be the Florida Panhandle, maybe Tallahassee, just to the east of Pensacola, possibly up toward Atlanta and over toward Montgomery and Columbus. You need to watch out for storms. These are the storms. Look at them explode on the picture here. The white indicates the most recent within about the past 5 to 10 minutes with cloud to ground lightning strikes. So we have active thunderstorms developing. Again, this is a regional view with a cluster of storms near Columbus, possibly heading up toward Atlanta, with another line cutting through Alabama. Well, that wraps up the first phase of our storm. That is with the storm heading through Arkansas. To the north, more associated with an Arctic front, and yeah, we have some snow. But first of all, scenes from Port Washington, Wisconsin, just north of Milwaukee, where snow started during the early morning hours, tapered off, but by no means is the snow over with. Highs today into the low 30s across southern areas of Wisconsin. And our snow history, that shows most of the snow has fallen across south central Wisconsin and into southwestern Minnesota, upwards of a foot of snow or more. And over toward the Twin Cities, you've seen a healthy shot of snow here with this storm, and it's continuing to the east. Arctic air moving on in, set the foundation for all of this snow. Around Chicago, you're in a bit of a warm sector where milder air, so we're looking at some 40s for your temperatures right now. 22, you can see the huge change just to the north of that Arctic front, so some much colder air. The wind chills, how cold it actually feels. Exposed areas, your skin, like your face, for instance, minus 20. Dangerous to be outside for a long period of time, Bismarck and up to Minot. Here's our satellite picture. We have that storm rolling on in, and as it clashes with the moisture, we are seeing the snow. Mostly snow here, but some rain in Iowa, a little bit of freezing rain, snow mixed toward the Iowa-Minnesota border. And our forecast, yeah, from Boston down to New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, especially the northern western suburbs, you're going to see some snow through noon tomorrow. So some marked snow ready to move in. With more about our snow on the east and more about the forecast for the weekend, here's Rick back in the studio.
Well, that's right, Rich. That moisture will be heading for the northeast, and some of you in the Poconos, the Catskills, Mohawk and Hudson Valley may have significant snowfall late tonight and the first half of Friday. But will the precipitation change to rain? We'll find out on the forecast. Meanwhile, though, let's go back to yesterday when rain, snow, and hail caused serious problems for motorists in Snohomish County, Washington. The storm system blew through Wednesday, making highway conditions very slippery. Now today, the weather has been better in Washington State, with less frequent showers of rain and snow, less wind, and even a few breaks of sunshine. Let's go right to the satellite picture. You can tell that the conditions have improved in the northwest. In fact, the major pocket of jet stream energy and moisture off the Pacific is now raced east to the Rockies, and you can see the remnants of it right now, this spiraling band of cloud cover over eastern Montana. And the jet stream winds plowing through northern Colorado and southern Wyoming. The bottom line with this, it's going to drop in and interact with this very moist system coming northward out of the lower Mississippi Valley. And you can already see some of the effects, the snow, the developing rain, and the developing thunderstorm activity over the south. Now, the southwest has been seeing fair weather, except for some high, thin cirrus clouds moving through. And at last report, it was in the low 90s. Around Palm Springs, California, and mid-80s in LA and in Phoenix. Back to the northwest, here's your spotty precipitation, some light snow in the Sawtooth, the Bitterroot Range, snow in the Cascades, rain at times around Seattle and at Portland. But with the offshore winds in Southern California, it's been very mild to warm, and the desert areas have been downright hot for late winter with readings in the low 90s. Contrast that with a stalled out Arctic front. It's banked up against the crest of the front range of the Rockies. And again, in this case, as is the case most times, this cold air is just too shallow to make it over the crest of the mountains, so it banks up against the front range and stays put. So east of this front, we're looking at single digits and up into the low and mid-teens. West of the front, it's in the 40s in the maritime Pacific air mass around Boise and Salt Lake City. Nearly 80 in Vegas, mid-80s now in Phoenix, 79 degrees in Los Angeles. All right, on to the forecast. Friday looks high and dry again in the southwest. Another very warm day coming up with 80s, upper 70s to mid-80s, and a few areas in the low 90s over the desert region of Southern California. The northwest, a bit breezy. A little snow in the Cascades, also in the Sawtooth region again. Yellowstone Park, maybe a couple of inches of snow. Denver is upslope winds, and some of the Arctic air returns. An inch or two of snow, not out of the question. But the heaviest snows Friday morning will be in a band over the upper Great Lakes, middle and upper lakes, into the Mohawk and Hudson Valley. Now, will it stay snow here in upstate New York? We doubt it, because this is not going to be a favorable storm track to keep it all snow here in the northeast. You see the low center will track north of the St. Lawrence River eventually, and that'll draw up enough warm air so that whatever snow falls will taper off, change to sleet and freezing rain, and rain may be seen even as far north as Burlington and Montpelier for a time tomorrow night. The Ohio Valley, heaviest rain should be over with by late on Friday, and a chilly high-pressure system heads southward through Texas late in the day on Friday. Cool conditions returning to Houston and Dallas. Some wet stuff, some snow for the Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Rains will be light through noon Friday in the west, but much heavier in the east.
In 1977, Shakespeare introduced